A Quiet Place Part 2 is easily one of the most anticipated movies of the year, and so many people are really excited about this movie, guys. And so in this last segment of the show, I wanted to talk about everything that we know so far about A Quiet Place 2. So let's get into it. So guys, Ali Gemmel of Screen Rant wrote the following article: A Quiet Place 2 sneaks into theaters in 2020, continuing the story of sound-sensitive monsters began in 2018's surprise box office smash. A Quiet Place is A Quiet Place Part 2 is the sequel to A Quiet Place, starring John Krasinski, who also wrote and directed, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, and Noah Jupe. A Quiet Place followed the Abbott family, Lee, Evelyn, Reagan, and Marcus, as they navigated a world where aliens with extremely acute hearing abilities have wiped out a large portion of the population. The Abbotts live on a farm where silence is observed at all times to avoid aliens finding and killing them. The family's world is turned upside down when a chain of noisy events alerts the aliens to their home, and they must try to survive as best they can. A Quiet Place made a big noise at the box office with its contained yet completely terrifying premise. By the time it left theaters, A Quiet Place had pocketed $188 million domestically and more than $340 million worldwide, which is a big deal, guys, specifically because this is a horror movie. A lot of times horror movies, some of them actually, the horror movie genre has a real huge fan base. But at the same time, for a brand new franchise, right, that being A Quiet Place, that's a pretty big numbers for a horror movie, for something just starting. A Quiet Place 2 was originally scheduled to arrive in theaters on March 20th, 2020. That didn't happen thanks to the quickly escalating American outbreak of course, the outbreak that's happening in our world right now. And for quite a while, the sequel was left with no release date at all. Finally, on April 2nd, 2020, Paramount announced a new release date for A Quiet Place 2 of September 4th, 2020. However, with the pandemic still having no clear end in sight, one wonders if that date will stick either. And so, honestly, guys, it's hard to say. When you really think of, as far as the date is concerned, there's a good chance that it's going to get pushed back even further, because it just really depends. When we think of the movie theater system, and now with the pandemic going on, what types of rules are going to be in place when we talk about restaurants or we talk about movie theaters? When everything does kind of go back to some form of normalcy, are we going to have to be a couple of seats apart in the movie theater? Are they going to not be able to sell out movie theaters? It's hard to say. And so a lot of, of course, a lot of these studios are probably thinking to themselves, you know what, if we can't sell out the theaters, why not just put it onto a streaming service, or we just wait and delay the movie even longer? John Krasinski will return to direct A Quiet Place 2. He also gets the credit for penning the script this time around, just like he did with A Quiet Place. The sequel will be Krasinski's third time as the director on a feature-length film, with A Quiet Place in 2016, The Hollers, already under his belt. And I'm excited about this, guys. I think this has kind of become his baby, as far as the first movie was just trying to see where he probably just really made it just kind of going to be its own thing. But then when it had such huge, so many amounts of people that were coming to watch the movie, and it really built this fan base, he's probably thinking this is kind of becoming his baby in a major way from a career perspective. As far as the A Quiet Place 2 plot is concerned, guys, precious little information is yet available about Quiet Place 2's plot, despite a full trailer and other marketing having been released at this point. The main story appears to be set almost immediately after the original, with Evelyn Abbott and her children venturing elsewhere after their farm burns down. Along the way, they meet at least two new characters, but it's unclear if those people will ultimately be friends or foes. And as far as the cast is concerned, guys, cast looks stellar at this point. Audiences will see some familiar faces in A Quiet Place 2. Emily Blunt will reprise her role as Evelyn. Millicent Simmons is back as Reagan, and Noah Jupe will appear once again as Marcus. John Krasinski will himself return as Lee in flashback scenes, but it's unclear how much he'll be in the film. Two additional actors have been added to the A Quiet Place 2 cast so far: Cillian Murphy in March and Jamon Hunsey in August, the latter replacing the original cast Brian Tyree Henry. So, look, when you look at, I mean, Cillian Murphy, guys, and Jimin Hyunsei, these guys have been in a number of movies, shows. I think that we can all probably feel really good about those two being in it. It'll be interesting to see if they are more, friend or foe, like it said. Now, as far as the other things that we know, guys, obviously, A Quiet Place 2 has had, it's had a couple of trailers at this point. It's had like an official trailer, and so you can kind of watch those, and it's hard to say like how much of the story they're giving away. It looks like they're pretty well crafted. I gotta say, guys, if I were to give a review for these, I think they were pretty good. It was just that unnerving feel once again. It looks like it's kind of back to the same thing that made, A Quiet Place, the first one, so good, that being just like that tension, the quiet nature. I remember watching A Quiet Place in the theaters, guys, and man, that was a very eerie experience and very just strange. It was kind of an uncomfortable experience because you're sitting with a bunch of other people in a movie theater, and so much of the movie's quiet. You could hear people next to you that are chewing on popcorn or eating candy or drinking a soda, and while you're just sitting there, right? And because it's so quiet, so much of the movie, and so it really created these interesting dynamics, and I'm really interested to see if that happens once again here in A Quiet Place 2. Now, with more actors that are being introduced to the fray, introduced into the story, you kind of wonder if there's going to be more dialogue than there was in the first one. But nonetheless, I think John Krasinski knows exactly where he wants to go with this story, and I hope it really lands on multiple levels. But at this point, guys, everything that we know so far about the movie, we know a good amount, but at the end of the day, we know so little because the trailers didn't really give away a lot. At least it doesn't seem like they did. But nonetheless, I think this is going to continue being one of the most anticipated movies of this year or next year, or whenever it would finally come out. Hopefully, it's going to be, stay put. We'll be able to watch it later on here in 2020, and we'll be able to talk about it as the reviews start coming in, and we're able to kind of talk about it here on the YouTube channel. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What are you the most excited about with A Quiet Place Part 2? And do you think this is going to live up to the hype? Do you think it's going to be better than the first one? Do you think it'll be a great continuation? Let me know what you guys think. And for more A Quiet Place Part 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.